Canto Ten is about jealousy. It is about Malbeco's futile jealousy. And over the course of Canto Ten, Malbeco becomes more clearly a figure of jealousy and cuckoldry. A cuckold is a man whose wife sexually cheats on him. They proverbially have horns. By the end of this canto, Malbeco actually grows horns, so he actually fits in with the satyrs who his wife has eventually left with. Helena, who is a kind of lower rent, diminished version of Helen of Troy, less heroic, less noble, all the flaws, but of a lower stature, like petty Helen, um, has follows a traditional misogynist. The idea is that once in Spencer's time and in Shakespeare's and in Chaucer's, that once a woman starts to lose her chastity, she will become sexually available to all men. That either you're chaste, you say you're a girl who can't say yes, but once you start to say yes, you become the girl who can't say no. And eventually we see Helena off with satyrs, the famously lustful goat men, and poor jealous Malbeco is listening to repeated sex between a particular satyr and his estranged wife. Let's on 7, Paradel, who's a kind of sadder, pettier repetition of the epic character Paris, is playing the same lover's game that everybody plays in The Fairy Queen, except he's doing it just as moves. He's done this again and again. And about in the 20s, halfway through this canto, when Malbeco goes searching for his lost wife and bumps into Paradel, Paradell's like, I don't know what she is. She lives in the forest over there. He is insincere. He is sexually voracious. He's just a gigolo. But his game looks like real lovers' games. But when apart, if ever her apart he found, then his false engines fast he plied, and all the slights unbosomed in his heart. He sighed, he sobbed, he swooned, he purred, he died, he cast himself on the ground, her fast beside. But when again he him bethought to live, he wept and wailed, and false laments belied, saying, but if she mercy would him give, that he mote all gates die, yet did his death forgive. Standard courtly love, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. He's not feeling. He's actually been described in the previous canto as feeling love's pain, but like he feels it always. It's just part of the game. At other whiles, with amorous delights and pleasing toys, he would her entertain, now singing sweetly to surprise her sprites, now making lays of love and lover's pain, brancels, ballads, virelays, and verses vain. Oft purposes, oft riddles he devised, and thousand light which flowed in his brain, with which he fed her fancy, and enticed to take with his new love, and leave her old despised. Okay, he's singing, and then, interestingly, Paradel's game moves to writing, moves to poetry. He starts writing false love rhymes, poems about lovers. That's really interesting, considering what's happening over and over again in The Fairy Queen, where we get poems about love and lovers always. Every canto, every single canto, that's what this poem is. And Paradel, at his sleaziest, becomes most like Edmund Spenser, writing these lusty love poems. Malbeco is powerless to stop this. It's a joke that it's futile. If I said in the last video that Helena and Paradel are like down market repetitions of their ancestors, Helen and Paris, here we put it we put it right out there for you. Stanza 12. And also the argument for this poem says that Paradel rapes Helena, though we clearly have consent here. This is not rape in our sense. Spenser uses the word rape to mean carries away. It's from the Latin word raptus, who carries someone off. He is going to carry her off, and she's actually going to shout. She's just to twist the knife into her jealous husband. She's going to claim she's being taken against her will, but we see her being very deliberate about it. Here's stanza 12 and stanza 13. Dark was the evening fit for lovers' stealth, when chanced Malbeco busy be elsewhere. So he to She to his closet went, where all his wealth lay hid. Thereof she countless sums did rear, the which she meant away with her to bear. The rest she fired for sport, or for despite. As Helen, when she saw aloft appear the Trojan flames, and reached to heaven's height, did clap her hands, and joyed at that doleful sight. This imagines Helen of Troy, the stolen wife for whom Troy is burned by a Greek army. It takes 10 years to do it, but they do it. Is imagined as laughing, enjoying it. Look at the fire, it's pretty. Like, Helen is a negative figure in a lot of medieval and early modern discourse. This is the same thing again. She's like Helen, she wants to see the fire. Here she set the fire herself, it's her husband's money, and she laughs, ha 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 ha. This second Helen, fair Dame Helenor, the whiles her husband ran with sorry haste to quench the flames which she had tined before, laughed at his foolish labour spent in waste, and ran into her lover's arms right fast, which straight embraced she to him did cry, and called aloud for help, ere help were past. For lo, that guest did bear her forcibly, and meant to ravish her, that rather had to die. And then poor Malbecco, he's a type of the jealous husband who gets blamed for being unable to contain his wife. He's also described repeatedly, and this is a kind of traditional stereotype for this kind of jealous cuckold figure, of being too intent on his money. Business, being a merchant, is not a noble profession. He is too interested in wealth and not in love and heroism, which are considered knightly virtues. This is all class stereotype, this is all class prejudice. And then he's like trying to choose between his wife, his money, my money, my wife, my money, my wife, your money or your wife. He can't pick, so he loses both. He then becomes a sucker. Braggadocio and Trumpart show up again. He's afraid of them. They seem like a real, Braggadocio seems like a real warrior to Malbecco, who's also not a warrior. And Trumpart eventually tricks Malbecco out of his buried money. It's just, the idea here is that, like, the jealous old husband deserves it. We're going to mock the cuckold, and he's going to become a model of jealousy. He, on some level, the idea is that his jealousy and controllingness drives his wife away. And eventually, the last line of Canto Ten is that jealousy, he just becomes an embodied, forgot he was a man, and jealousy is height. He's a deadly sin. He finds Helenor living with satyrs, who are these mythological men, goats from below the waist, very much from below the waist, they're animals. And Helenor loves it, actually, and she's not punished beyond this. She seems to enjoy, like, she lives in the woods with her man harem of satyrs, and she's enjoying them enormously. Stanza 48, again, Spenser's moral poem with its moral program occasionally gets weirdly kinky. Here's a bit of kind of voyeurism where the jealous old husband, the cuckold, watches and listens to his wife repeatedly have sex with a satyr. At night, when all they went to sleep, he viewed, whereas his lovely wife amongst them lay, embraced of a satyr rough and rude, who all the night did mind his joyous play. 9 times he heard him come aloft ere day, that all his heart with jealousy did swell. Yet that night's ensample did bewray, that not for naught his wife them loved so well, when one so oft a night did ring his matins bell. These satyrs, who are supernatural figures, are, and about the kind of animal passions, have enormous sexual stamina. Like, Helenor's having a great time. Like, she's got a crowd of them, but even one can have sex 9 times a night. Now Becca's like, okay, I can see that. I can't back that up. Just when you think you're doing a moral allegory, Spenser makes it weird. It happens over and over again. Now we're coming to the home stretch, the last 2 cantos. We're going to see Britomart save somebody. Yes, he is. But for that, it's going to get even weirder.